Is it working? Looks like it is. Okay, hello, and we're back with the this comedy of errors, which is the 600XL with the Ultimate 1MB VBXE and stereo pokey and U switchboard. So I've got this sorted. It was of course an installation error. I'll show you what happened. I'll just get this off here. Okay, back to the higher camera position up here, because unfortunately this thing fell off again. Gonna have to come up with some sort of better mount for that. But anyway, recap. This whole procedure should have taken about half an hour. It's just ridiculous. But to recap, we had a dead short between 5 volts and ground on this machine every time the U switchboard was plugged in. I'll just pop the chat window out just in case anybody turns up. There we go. Okay, and we put that down here, something. I'm not going to restore chat. I haven't got room for that. Okay. Right, so I'll take this out so you can see what's going on. And in any case, I'm pleased to report the thing does work properly now. Why is this showing as offline? That's better. Right, okay. Does appear to be working. So I'm going to have to disconnect this so you can see it. Okay, right. So this is how we ended up doing it, which is pretty much how I intended to do the thing in the first place. Because of the fact that there's such limited clearance in this machine, I'd normally mount this thing on a standard 2x3 header with the plastic frame between the two boards, but there really wasn't room in this case. So what had seemed to happen here is, because I've omitted this frame, there seemed to be a short inside here. When I took it apart last night, that turned out there was no short, and I couldn't figure out where the short was coming from. The short eventually transpired that the short was between the VCC pin and the unused jumper pad here, which is tied to ground, of course. At one point it seemed that there was a shorted cap. This is covered in heat shrink again, but it wasn't the cap. I realised, of course, that the fact that there was zero resistance across this across C1 on this board didn't necessarily mean the cap was shorted out. It just meant that there was a path to ground elsewhere on the board. So once I'd figured that out, it was a case of just scanning the board and finding out what was wrong. So the short's cleared now, so it does work. It's been powered on. So I'll give you a look at the how the clearance looks here. But yeah, what an unusual fault. I'm just going to move this mic because it's getting on my nose. There we go. It's better. Alright. Yeah, we'll pop this back in here. And the clearance, I tried, I was going to try rather just elevating the ultimate board, which is what I suggested last night that any sane person would have done, is just raise it a bit so that we had more room underneath. But I did a shot test on the case, or a case, because I haven't got the top of this machine, and it did indeed crash into the underside of the front of the keyboard, the back of the keyboard. So that wasn't going to work. So anyway, we have managed to get it so it's all safe and it all works, and it's been, let's move this along, and I've it all fits. Actually, on a 600 XL, what you're probably going to find, unless you're using an Alps keyboard, which is particularly low profile on the back, the 2 points of contact on the keyboard that you're going to run into here are the front edge of this connector here. So there isn't really any room for a strain relief clip here, and the front edge of the pokey chip, and it actually, you can feel the keyboard hit that chip when you close the machine up, but it does close. So but it does depend on what kind of keyboard you're using. And you might think, well, there's an excellent argument for using the splayed out right angle headers that Atari likes to put on this board now, but, well, not really, because it would be impossible to mount the board in this position with the MMU header coming out this way, and I think it would actually cause problems with the keyboard anyway. So this is, it does work. I mean, it's very low. The battery compartment is just touching the top of the plastic housing on that hearting connector, but it's compact and bijou, I think, is a good way to describe it. There's washers on the back of here as well, because of course we've got the screws going into places where there are traces and things, and there's even a notch. If you can see a wire going in. There's a wire going through a via which is right next to where that screw goes through the board, and I had to cut a notch in the bottom of the nylon standoff to keep the standoff from squashing the wire. So it couldn't not get more tight in here. So what I think we'll do now is get this VBXE put in and see what the video output's like. And that's going to involve moving the monitor around, so anyway, not to worry, let's get on and do it. So where did I put my wires? Where's my wires? Aha, here we are. Anything else I need? I think that's it. There we go. Pre-tinned. Now, this is the wiring for the RGB video, so I'll keep that out of the way a little bit. So what's going to have to come off this board is the primary crystal, the master clock, which is this one here. I've got a board behind here for reference. This crystal, Q2, which is a transistor down here, and R49, which is 220 ohm resistor there. Anyway, so let's get these removed. Firstly, of course, I'll might as well demonstrate that it works and probably find that it doesn't. So we'll do a quick power on test again. It has to work. So we'll go to S video. We turn on. We've got a light. Here we go. Can you see the LED on that? Yeah, you can see the LED down here. So, yeah. So no keyboard, so I'll turn that back on. There we go. So it works. I just absurdly stupid mistakes. This is just taking a ridiculously long time. It's not that I'm out of practice, but maybe I'm out of practice doing things on camera or something. I don't know. But anyway, so we turn them off. Get rid of that. Unplug, and let's get this board in. What I'll try and do at some point, probably when I reroute the wires on this machine before it goes back, is try and take some photographs, because obviously if you're going to do something like this, it's, you know, everybody each to their own. They might want to put the, I don't know, you might want to put the ultimate board there if it'll fit, if you've got something to go here. But if this is the general layout you want, and there's not really that much room to maneuver, because obviously this has to go here and this has to go here, I'll put in the description the lengths of the standoffs. I think these are 15mm nylon standoffs, M3. The screws are 25mm M3. Obviously you need these IDC connectors, and you'll need to alter the cable lengths as well, and you'll need to do something approximating what I've done here with the U-switch board. And you know, you may want to follow the DIN 13 approach with the video connector, but it's very much up to you. So if that information is useful, I shall make it available. Right, so I've got to get a different way to hook up this mic. So let's take off the master crystal, which is the one at the back. He said constantly double checking himself. Gosh, it's really... There we go. Right. Okay, so that's out. Get the solder out those holes. There we go. Why is this microphone is just... I'm probably making a lot of noise as well. There we go, we'll put it at the front. That's better. Right, which transistor is coming off? That one at the front. Ow, ow, hot. Ooh. Right, and the resistor out. I'm so glad I don't have to make a SCART cable for this machine. I'll show you why in a minute. Why I don't have to make one, that is. Hi Tez, you showed up. Wow, yeah, and you've doubled the number of viewers just by appearing here. There we go. I'll clean these holes up. I'll go through a hell of a lot of wick now. I've just become more of a wick fan. I was going to order some good wick on eBay, but I'm in too much of a hurry for it. But good wick from China is actually supposed to be pretty good. It's supposed to be pretty good. Probably why it's called good wick. Although I would imagine it would be good wick would be German wick, but I don't know. A bit of flux. I ordered more flux as well. Amtech 559. £10 a tube. But it's really good. Highly recommended. There we go. Amtech 559. I didn't order the stuff that's from that's made in Hong Kong, because that seems to me to be an immediate indication that it's fake, because it should be made in the USA. But the one I've ordered's actually expired, but it's all I could get from the UK, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Right, so the right hand wire is the top. So we'll give it a bit of a clean up. Acetone's vicious stuff as well. This is why I wear crappy clothes when I'm working on this stuff, because I just constantly burn myself, get acetone on clothes and stuff. So not worth wearing anything good. We pop these wires right in here. So these wires are gonna, one's just a ground wire, but probably entirely unnecessary to connect both of them, but this is going to provide this one thing that people aren't necessarily always clear about when they install a VBXE, is that the VBXE now drives the master clock of the machine. So the crystal on the motherboard becomes completely redundant, and since there's no need for the transistor either, because this is being fed further up the circuit into the clock circuit, and it's being, because the crystal on here is around about 14 megahertz, and there's a clock divider on the board which delivers the appropriate clock signal frequency for the Atari. So there we go, that's basically it. It's rigged up. So I want, what do I want? I want a header. I'll probably put it back in the box. I want a single pin DuPont housing, and this is for the decoder address signal, as I call it, from the VB pin on the Ultimate 1 megabyte, because it was all beautifully designed to everything interacts with everything else. So we take Antic off here, pop the VBXE adapter into the board. Now, before I do that, we get one of these, get the damn thing into focus. If you get one of these, in the instructions it says solder the socket into the motherboard with this attached to it, and I couldn't understand why that was. I don't know if it was a sort of a heat sinking issue or what. I couldn't figure out why the manual tells you to do that, until I noticed that often this one's pretty straight, but sometimes these adapters, because the PCBs are so thin and the socket's put in with a clamp because it's countersunk into the board, they sometimes have a curve along their length. And this is complete guesswork, but what I'm wondering is that if he wants you to keep the socket on the adapter board so that the socket goes in with the exact same alignment, if you like, to the adapter board, even if it's got a curve in, because if this doesn't sit properly in the Antic socket, you'll have no end of problems with the machine not turning on, having to reseat the board all the time. Now this one's okay, but it did have a lot of solder on these pins here, and if you just get one pin that has lumps of solder at the base of the pin, it's going to stop the thing from sitting properly in the socket. So what I do, and what I've done on this one, is I've gone along the whole thing with wick. Now whether these excessive solder was designed to make the thing harder to insert in the socket, I don't know, but to me it's counterproductive. It doesn't seem to help much. This thing doesn't, it barely needs any solder on it. You could almost insert this thing friction only, because the holes in the board are so tight around the socket. They do need to be soldered. I did once try it without soldering it. Admittedly it didn't work, but the amount of solder required to get this thing assembled is absolutely minimal, and the cleaner the legs are, the more likely that it's going to sit securely and firmly in the socket. So this one does indeed push home very, very nicely. Hi PG, how are you doing? Let's get a view of that. So it's straight, it's flush, and it's nice. You just see a glint of solder there, so it's all flush and flat and secure, and I don't even think it's going to work its way loose in transit, which is good. I've seen these things actually on some of the ones Lathorax put together, where he's actually wrapped a cable tie underneath the socket and round the top yeah, around the top of this socket, and then put this chip in the top here. Yeah, I'd rather not do that. I can see why he's done it, of course, because everything gets thrown around in the post. There's every opportunity for the thing to come adrift, if you like. So now bear in mind, I'm going to get this thing working before I even attempt to tidy anything up here. So because I've made that mistake before, tidy stuff up and then realise it doesn't work properly, so it's a bit pointless. So there we go. So everything's plugged in here. This is the RGB cable, and I've actually got window capture to work. I finally got my stereo upgrade built in last weekend, says PG. Excellent. What kind of machine was it? So So yes, I finally got window capture to work. That's a bit tight. I've lengthened this wire and it's still too short. I'm going to redo that. That's ridiculous. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. So that is basically VBXE installed. Fundamentally, it's finished. But we need to wire up a few more things on the back. And a bit of wire for the sync signal. Let's tidy up as well. And tidy as you go. Put all this crap up here. Oops, there we go, there's knocked the camera again. Okay, 800XE. Ah yeah, I've just been working on one of them today. A digression. I might as well because I can't video everything. This is an 800XE board, and it had one of those bad GTI chips, and the first time I've ever come across one of those. And the video was really, I mean, what's the video like on that 800XE Viewers PG? Because the video on this, certainly through this LCD monitor, was awful. There was just a lot of noise on the colour, on the chroma. If we disconnect the chroma, it was reasonably clean. So I was asked if I could sort the video out a bit, and what I went for was something I actually, now let's get this straight, I know nothing about video electronics or signal processing or anything like that, but about 6 years ago I messed around with because you could buy a video cable on eBay for these machines that had a diode on the chroma line. I thought, well, why do you put a diode on the chroma line? To filter out interference and AC noise and stuff. So I thought, could you not put the diode inside of the machine? Would that not be a good idea? And what I ended up doing was put a diode across, what is it, R205, and I made some other changes to try and boost the luminance up and improve the character definition, purely by trial and error, because I do not know. I mean, Brian designed the UAV board because, and there's somebody who knows what he's doing, and it's the video quality is superb. Here's somebody who doesn't know what they're doing with electronics, and it's actually pretty good. So the first thing I changed on this machine earlier on today was I couldn't find any diodes, so I actually put on was a 100 nanofarad cap instead, and it's really, really nice. In fact, I'll show you quickly. I should have, of course, recorded the original video output, but if you can imagine a TV set that isn't adequately well tuned in, just a lot of coarse noise and interference up and down the screen. So let's have a look. It'd be nice if I could have showed you the self-test, which I probably can do if I find a keyboard. Oh, there's a pile of XE computers here. Okay, so we pop a keyboard in. It doesn't look quite as nice on the capture card actually, but the definition, it's really sharp. And well, somebody asked me before, does the memory test do the whole 128K if present? But I don't know, because this has only got 64K on it. Anyway, there we go. So that changing that one single component makes more difference to the signal than any of the other bits I changed. I did change a few other bits, just a few resistors, and I changed this this cap for a 220 microfarad cap. I think it was a 16 originally, something like that. Anyway, it's just night and day, the video quality. PG Video Composite NES video is quite good on mine. It's the very first machine that I got back in 1990, but I'm not too picky. Anything outside of RF out is fine. Yeah, I can't believe we used to use that. I remember the first time I tried, I saw monitor output from one of these machines was, blimey, 2008. Yeah, it must have been, and that was on a little LCD TV or something from years ago, and I couldn't believe it. And that was like a stock machine before it had any of the mods on it and stuff. The first thing that hit me, of course, I think was the jail bar lines on the screen, which were actually partially alleviated by that eBay cable that I bought. It was one of the first things I bought for the Atari when I got back into it. Obviously was a cable to connect it to an S-video device. But they look better. They actually look better on a CRT. I mean, in fairness to Atari, the design of the video circuit gets slagged to death. But I mean, they didn't have LCD TVs. I mean, they should have designed it in spec, of course, as the people who know about this stuff will tell you. And the people like Bob Woolley, who wrote all the modifications for all the S-video, Super Video mods and stuff, that the signal is just completely out of spec. But I mean, it wasn't really S-video per se. It was YC. And they didn't have access to the kind of displays we've got now, so although it was poorly designed, a lot of these defects didn't really expose themselves until more recent times, when we've got decoders and things that are far more sensitive to the shortcomings of the Atari video signal. But yes, some of them are pretty good. I mean, the XEGS machines have often, I find, got really nice video, and so have those. Yes, in fact, you mentioned the 800XE. The one I've just showed you that had rotten video, that was one of the first 800XEs I've seen that didn't have decent video. They usually have had decent video when I've seen them, but this one was really bad. But you know, maybe they were using cheaper components or something by then, I don't know. I also won a VBXE in March at Forever Party. You can win VBXEs. Why did I not know this? I'm short of one. Of course, I would have had to travel abroad. Anyway, you won a VBXE in March at Forever Party. Now I just need to have it installed. Unfortunately, I don't have a monitor with RGB input. Ah. Did they give you a choice as to which adapter you got when you won the board, or did you have to just take what you were given? I mean, for XE or XL format, so to speak. I want one of those little tubs with wire wool stuff in it. The sponges are crap. Useless. Alright. Right, this is going to be fun. I have to pick the hot glue off this pins as well. Something else I should have done beforehand. I got what they had. I don't even know there were different versions. Well, yeah, I'm going to assume you got the XE version because basically the XE version, the Antic adapter sits on the board, and the VBXE is turned completely 180 degrees and comes out forwards because the Antic is at the back of the computer on the XE, whereas with the XL line that wouldn't work, so the VBXE points back over, and the two adapters are completely incompatible because the pinout is completely reversed. But since the XE is so popular over in Europe, I'm pretty sure you'll have got the XE version. The trouble with doing stuff on camera is that when I'm not on camera, I'm kind of hunched over the desk in the most appalling positions with this bizarre sort of headgear on, so I can see what I'm doing, and it's not really conducive to being on video. Good enough. Good enough. Right. Audio we can kind of do without for now. So I need to know which wire is which here. Let's get the tester out. Yes, XE on the small. I thought it would be XE that you got. How did I know that? Right, so the ground. Right, so ground is at the other side, so this must be ground, because ground's at the back. Oh yes, now I've got. Look at this. Window capture. I had to turn off acceleration in Chrome. And now it works. So ground is, yes, ground is the... Oh Christ. Ground is at the front of the board. So I'll figure out which side of the wire. That's it there. Mark that ground. So this is the wiring plan for the VBXE board, which you'll find on the Tharex website. Very useful. Right, so we got, so you can see we've got ground. Is this capturing the mouse or not? It says it is. What the hell? Have I just killed window capture again? Yeah. It's so touchy, this window capture. Incredible. So this video schematics. Why is window capture is really fussy. Alright then. Well, I can see it, that's the main thing. So we've got ground. I'll tin these pins. I need to use a smaller tip for this. This is not going to work. Let's wait for the iron to cool down a bit. Let's see if we can get window capture to work again. This is really bugging me now. Try and add a source again. Remove. I'm sorry about the black screen. I'm going to remove this scene, add a scene, window capture, add existing. Oh, I don't want to add existing, I want to make a new one. Right, and it is that one. There we go, it's back. So why do you keep going off? What is that all about? There we go. So let's switch back. And I wanted that back as well. VBXE installation manual. So if we go back to schematic view, there we go. Excellent. So we can see this. Right. Good. Excellent. Okay. Right, is this tip? I think we'll add also one of the cameras. And we'll reduce that down a little bit. Make it a bit more personal. There we go. That's better. Right. Which one? I'll use this one. Has anybody used one of those TS100 irons? The open source thing. It's supposed to be really good. It's got a quick release, they've got the element in the tip and consequently quick release mechanism. And they take Hacko tips as well. Right, where am I? Right, here we go. Let's wait for the iron to warm up. Oh, Pensionate again. PG, I need to get the GTI socketed. I also want a side 2, but I have no compact flash card. Yeah, you can get compact flash cards from China, but try not to get counterfeit stuff. Try to get a SanDisk card. I know you can't. Ideally, it was good when you could buy them in shops, because then if it was a counterfeit, you could just take it back to the shop. But Amazon is a good source. In fact, if you look, in the XELCF thread on Atari Age, there's Michael posted some links to some really good sort of known genuine cards, some SanDisk cards. I think they were refurbished actually, but better to get a genuine refurbished card than a fake new card. So yes, I can recommend them. But you risk problems if you're gonna go for Chinese stuff. It may work, but it may not. Okay, so let's get back to this. You want to give yourself the best chance of getting something that's going to work, you know. This is really tight with these little jumper wires around it as well. To be more or less tinned. Yes, PG says side 2 needs better quality card with decent speed for things like video. It's not so much the speed, because these cards, I mean, even a 15 megabytes a second, or what's the slowest compact flash card you're going to see? The Atari's never ever going to come close to that. The fastest, I think Avery's video streaming program, it pulls about what 500 kilobytes a second. I mean, it's way below what even the slowest card could deliver, but it's more to do with just the general spec and how the thing sort of sits on the bus. Basically, it's because the problems you're going to see are the old bus capacitance kinds of issues, and SanDisk cards must just be particularly well behaved in that respect. If you need faster interface, only IDE Plus will be okay. How do you mean? I don't know what you mean by faster interface. The IDE Plus doesn't drive the card in 8-bit mode, but that's pretty much the only difference. The side 2 only has an 8-bit data register, so it has to put the card into what they call 8-bit mode. But the IDE Plus doesn't need to do that because it's got a 16-bit data register, but aside from that, the protocol is identical, and you shouldn't see any performance difference, even to the extent that the drivers for both devices both have unrolled loops. Is that using a 300k, or is that using the Rapidus driver? I think I saw that. Well, I've written a Rapidus driver for the side too as well. Where you can see similar results. Which I haven't released yet, so I've got that to do. So anyway, we're going to start. We needn't start with the ground. We'll start with. So let's have a look at this pinout for this bloody DIN 13 here. Alright, what we got? It's similar to what I've got here. I'm going to have to take this machine apart again because the back of the connector is mirrored and flipped. Well, not mirrored, but it's flipped. So it's very, very difficult to visualize the connections as they are depicted on this schematic, to visualize them in terms of what you're actually looking at. So if we right, let's have a look. Just give myself a rough idea of where we're coming from. So these are the stereo connections. And here is the next one along from ground, which is, if we flip over to this one, the next one along from ground is RGB control. So the furthest one is blue. So let's give us a good idea where we're coming from. So this one is blue here. This one is blue. So let's add the other camera in here so we can see what's what. Shrink that down. Right. Okay, this is, wow, this is a multimedia experience if ever was one. Blimey. Right. Yeah, the repeaters. There's no limitation for the compact flash card size. I've got this pending update. I'm going to do another video on this ultimate 1 megabyte and side firmware update, because it's taken so long to get everything sorted. I hope it was worth it, but I'm just going to hook these up temporarily without the shrink fit tubing because we're starting to run out of time here. But no, the thing should gracefully handle anything up to 128 gigabytes of card. But you're right, it's difficult to get the smaller ones now, and the smaller ones were really good because they were very, very reliable. I've got this one here, 4 gigabyte. I just can't recommend these enough. I mean, you don't need bigger than this, in my opinion. You don't need bigger than 4 gigabytes. 8 gigabytes, yeah, maybe. But, I mean, what are you going to put on it, you know? What are you going to put on the thing? What are you going to put on a 64 gigabyte compact flash card? But the firmware should work, particularly the one that's coming up. Should work very nicely, and all the sizes and the volume sizes and the fat sizes should be reported very, very nicely. But yeah, but yes, there's a Rapidus driver if you've got an ultimate 1 megabyte, because I thought it was very unfair to leave side users out in the cold like this. So there is a driver for Rapidus and ultimate 1 megabyte, which will drive the card. I think I posted about it. I posted a video or something, and it'll drive the card at. Oh, where's blue? Blue goes. Aha! Blue goes down there. Right. Right. I'm just gonna hook these up briefly and see if we get some video out of it. So blue's going down here. I'm sure the last time I did this on camera, I used the microscope camera. Pretty sure. Okay, so that's good enough to test. Next is, I'm in the wrong window again. That's where I want to be. Right, good. Next is red, and red is going to this one here. Good enough for testing. Next one, of course, is green, and green is going no, that's wrong. Let's have a look at the other schematic. Oh dear God. Right. Red and green. Okay, I've got you. And blue. Blue, yes. So blue is immediately below green. Okay. And green. Right, okay. It all makes sense now. Just talk amongst yourselves. This is get these wires out of the way. Okay, and RGB control, which we also need. An RGB control, now which pin is this one going on to? RGB control. It's going on pin 8 next to red. Okay. So it's that one here. Yes. Okay, this must be this one here. I'll pop ground on there. Right, so the one that there's some contention about is the sync signal. So which pin does the sync signal end up on using Michael's so add sync mod? Oh Jesus, it's clear as mud. It goes to where? Pin 9? Each sync pin 9. Oh well, let's give it a try. I'm open to the idea that that's what it is. I'm just checking the SD to CF adapters on eBay and Amazon, but either the sellers do not ship to my country or the shipping costs are ridiculous. Yeah, those red ones that Latharex got on his site work really well. Right, we'll just use this to a quick sync wire. I think my eyesight's really getting worse, you know. I find I can't cope with this poor light and need to have a rethink of the lighting strategy in this place. Getting old. So we need sync is going to come from CD 4050 pin 15, I believe, if my memory serves correctly, which is up there. Is that right? Yeah. Have you new idea or device prototype which will be usable in the future? For what kind of device? I'm not a hardware designer, so I won't be producing any hardware, I can guarantee that. So let's pick off composite sync here, and it supposedly goes to pin 9 or pin 2. Well, I guess we'll soon find out. Yeah, we'll try pin 9 first. I think it's pin 2 now, I'm not sure. Okay. Prop this up. Guarantee this won't work first time because I'm confused about the pinout a little bit. Grab a SCART cable. Well, if we don't need the SCART cable, we need the other one. Oh. So this is the, what's it called? Cool Novelties. There we go, yeah. This is courtesy of Michael, My Tech Controls. There we go. Cool Novelties 1088 XEL RGB SCART cable version 1.0. So this is what we're going to use. to get this to work. We'll get around the back of the monitor, plug it in, and I'm going to have to go completely offline as far as being able to see the screen's concerned, because I'm going to have to switch sources. So push this in here. There you go. As I'm assuming it goes in. Right, it's in. Switch on. Firstly, do we still get S-video? Well, we're not plugged in, so we won't, will we? Plug this video in. Right, we get black and white video. Interesting. Interesting. Black and white video. Do we get anything on the RGB channel? Excuse me while I just check. Nothing, so it's obviously the wrong pin. Let's try a different one. So it could be pin 2. What was supposed to be pin 2 must be up here. So let's try that instead. Okay, try again. Turn on, switch sources. Something, but no. But did I see Michael turn up there? No, it's just my imagination. Wishful thinking. Right, so pin 2, sync on pin 2 doesn't work. So you were rather programmer, yeah, programmer and engineer, if you use a term broadly. Fix mods and write software. Oh, I don't know why the video suddenly gone black and white on this machine. That's odd. Hang on. Aha! I think I've figured it out. So that's 1. Aha! I figured it out. Because I'm on the wrong pin. That's why. Wrong pin of CD 4050. I really can't multitask anymore, seemingly. Right. So now we should have colour on video. Which we don't. Ah, obvious why this. Anybody know why we don't get colour on the Legacy video? I'll give you one guess. There's a clue on the screen. Wrong master clock speed, it was set to NTSC. There we go. Well done, you just got in there, Pensioner, with the correct answer. The board was set to NTSC, so it was putting out the wrong master clock. This was out of the box, so it came here with the NTSC jumper setting. So the master clock speed was completely wrong for PAL video. So I'm going to leave you again and go to the other input and see if we get a picture yet. We don't. We get some sort of dim. This cable. I don't even know if this 1088 XEL cable here that I've got plugged in here, does it require this dual sync modification, or does it add jumper pin 2 to pin 9 for SCART, but this is for the, oh god, I just want to pin out for this SCART cable. Really, none of this has any relevance to a stock machine. I just want to know how to wire up the sync so that it drives this cable on a stock machine. Because this cable doesn't even work with a 1088 XEL out of the box. You have to do this modification to it first. So I don't know. Yeah. What are the other choices? Let's try again. So we get video, stock video works. Nothing. Oh, I give up. I don't know how the hell the wire. I don't know what pinout this is using, to be quite honest. I have no idea what the pinout is for this bloody cable. So I'm going to have to go away and figure it out. But in any case, the machine works. So I think what we'll do, which will be yet another video, in the next video we will, after I get this, maybe Sentius is, I've just checked chat, VBXE is more difficult to assemble into an Atari than any known modification. It used to be very straightforward until I needed to start using this cable, because my SCART cable here, this is the one I use, which I built according to a pinout that I came up with, which is more or less compatible with the Atari ST, but the Cool Novelties cable has some changes to account for a modification Michael made to the 1088 XEL because he wanted to use it with audio on a SC1224 monitor or something, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to do, but this modification, I mean this wiring is as clear as mud at the moment. I'll probably it'll probably be perfectly clear when I'm not busy making a video, but I'm going to go off, get this wired up, and then tomorrow we'll have a look at the VBXE video, which I'm sure it will work once the sync's on the right pin, and update the BIOS and stuff like that. So I think we'll leave it there for now. So yeah, we'll do that, because I must say my eyes are getting a bit tired with all this DIN soldering stuff. So yeah, so the machine works. So if Tez is still here, it's more or less done. Both, yeah, all looking good. Let's get this DIN jack sorted out, and then we'll have some fun and demo the machine, and that'll be the end of that. Yeah, blimey, I've got to get some better light in here. It's really tiring trying to solder a DIN connector in this, because I usually use this thing here. It's got a wee torch on the end, and but it's not the most conducive thing to trying to present a video, but there you go. Maybe I should go back to the just having the camera pointed at the desk. But anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll just tie things up next time. It's really just become a ridiculous saga, this so it was only supposed to be one episode, get this machine finished, but the next time we'll have a look at the VBXE video. I think I'm going to mount this on the wall so we can swing it out so that I actually look at it with the camera, because I've got no RGB capture device. And then we go through the process of updating the ultimate 1 megabyte BIOS, and should be fun. So join me for that if you can. In the meantime, thank you for watching, thank you for participating in chat, thank you to Tez for showing up, and thank you for your patience, and I will see you in the next video. So bye bye for now.